Okay guys, so earlier this week one of my product listings got hijacked. I was able to successfully deal with that within about an hour, so I thought I'll do this little tutorial to show you what a hijacker is, what techniques I used, and just explain a bit behind why hijacking is possible and what you can do to prevent it. And if it does happen to you, which is almost inevitable if you start selling on Amazon, the different methods you can use to get rid of the hijacker as quickly as possible. So let's kick things off. What is a hijacker? And why is it possible within Amazon system? Well, a hijacker is when another seller, quite often a Chinese seller, sometimes a Chinese supplier, will use your private listing, so the listing that you've created, promoted, got really well ranked, to sell their product. Now, it is very, very unlikely they're selling your product. They're probably selling a generic version of your product. However, if you've got branding on your product, then you can get that person kicked off your listing, because technically they are hijacking your listing because they are not selling a product that matches the description of the listing. So why is it possible in the first place? I mean, why do Amazon allow multiple people to sell the same product? Well, if you take, for example, a typical big brand, I know, for example, the webcam I'm looking at is a Logitech webcam. Yet if you go onto Amazon, I'm sure there will be more than one seller listed against the Logitech webcams, because they are distributing them to multiple retailers. So just because you've created a private label product, Amazon do not know that. So they assume that any product on there, multiple people could be selling that product. And that's why you can get hijackers, and that's why it's down to us to monitor our own listings, and when possible, get hijackers removed so they stop taking away the sales that they shouldn't be getting. So, as I said, Amazon allow multiple sellers to list against any product, providing they are selling the exact same product. And if you go to Amazon's official details there, it kind of explains why it's possible and why they don't enforce certain bits that are being copied and certain bits that they do enforce. So when a detail page is created, it becomes a permanent catalog page on Amazon, and it will remain so even if you sell up stock. Additionally, your copyrighted images, and on the detail page you grant access to pretty much everyone. You grant rights and access to everyone. That's pretty much what they're saying there. So that, as I said, that other sellers can list the items for sale against the pages you have created or added your copyright images to. So Amazon is saying that you can add all the products you want, but we're going to allow other people to list against those listings if they want to. But this is where it gets interesting. This is where we have some protection. However, we do require sellers to list only against detail pages that exactly match their items. If you believe sellers are listed against detail pages that do not exactly match their items, we ask that you report the violation here. There's a link through to a relevant form. And the reason that is important is because someone could be pretending to sell your product, but then you've got to show Amazon they are not selling the exact same product, and that's when you can get them removed from the listing. So as a private label product, as a private label, you don't have any specific protection other than that one statement, which you can try and enforce in a couple of different ways, or if you register for a trademark and then become brand registered. And I'm going to show you that in the coming slides, exactly what happened to me and how I was able to deal with that. So firstly, how do you prevent hijackers? And there's a few steps you can take to kind of help reduce the risk. It's not going to stop it. There's no way you can stop hijackers, but you can try to prevent them. So step one, make sure you add your brand and logo to the product. So if we compare two similar products, not similar, but let's compare two lots of chopping boards. This one here, a set of generic coloured chopping boards, no branding, and as you can see, there's 12 different sellers selling these as new. And then you've got this one here. This is branded, and it's just the one seller selling the product. It shows it's very hard for someone else to pretend they're selling this same product because they won't have the same branding as this company do. So that's the first thing. Make sure you add your brand logo to the product and packaging, and then that's shown in the photography on the listing so that you can prove it is not the same product if you ever have to. Step two, customize your product so it isn't identical. Add additional functions and features so that it's unlikely any generic hijacker will have those features. And you can also consider bundling additional items. So this seller here is bundling, by the looks of it, a potato peeler and a pair of scissors. So anyone that's just selling chopping boards, they'd very quickly be able to prove they are not selling the same product. And finally, this isn't so much of a prevention, but make sure you are monitoring all of your listings. I've mentioned previously that I use Helium 10. I'll just show you quickly how it works if you ever decide to use a similar system. So with Helium 10, you can set up various alerts. So for me, these are all the email notifications I get about my product. So I've disabled all review notifications because I don't want an email every time a review comes in. But I do get emails pretty much when the buy box is won or lost, which is always a sign that a hijacker has appeared on your listing. And there's various other things, and if any changes to the listing, the title, stuff like that, I get alerts. So I know if someone's come onto my product listing and has started making changes that I do not want them to make. And then you can also set up SMS notification alerts if there's something on it that you want to know that's critical. I've just got, you set your email there. I'll put your email.com, but put your own email there, and that's how you set it up. And you can see here under the alerts section, I've got my free products at the moment. I see I've had 2 5-star reviews on that product. I've got the other bits hidden. This one here is currently out of stock, so that's why it's got a straight face rather than a green smiley face. And this is my break-even product, which I'm selling through. So despite the fact there actually is a hijacker on the listing at the moment, but they're selling like 3 times the price of me with 3-week delivery, so no one's buying it off of them. To be honest, I haven't got around to actually removing them, so I might do that after this video. But I'm aware that the hijacker exists, and that's the key thing. You're aware they're there, and you can go in and get them removed if you want to. So make sure you or someone else or some system is monitoring your products, looking out for hijackers or people that might be modifying your listing, because they can be equally damaging. So that's it really for preventing hijackers. So what to do if your listing gets hijacked, and this is probably why most of you have found this video. If your listing gets hijacked, you need to consider which situation you are in. If you are brand registered, you'll have one route of action, and if you're not brand registered, then I'd recommend a different course of action. So the first step, and this applies to everyone, if you get hijacked and you lose your buy box, and what do I mean by the buy box? So if we go back to this listing here that had multiple sellers, the person winning the buy box at the moment actually looks to be Amazon. So if we click on 12 new, it will tell us who the buy box is. Yeah, so Amazon are winning the buy box at the moment on this listing. So yeah, Amazon are winning the buy box. Now, if you found you've lost a buy box, quite often you can win it back by reducing your price. And you're probably thinking, why should I reduce my price? Well, you'd rather be selling a few units at a lower cost price and not making as much profit than a competitor selling a generic product which is not going to match what the customer expects, and then they leave negative reviews. So it is definitely worth, first thing you should do is cut your price, win that buy box back. So even if there's a hijacker on your listing, that they aren't making any sales. That's first step, cut your price. You have instant control over that. So if you have a trademark and you're part of the Amazon Brand Registry, then you can report a violation using the Brand Registry tool, and I'm going to show you exactly what I did later on in this video, and I'm going to show you how I managed to, and give you the exact text I used for a successful appeal. If you're not brand registered, then the first step I would recommend would be to send a cease and desist letter and email, and I'm going to show you a template in a second. The only thing to keep in mind, technically it is against Amazon terms of service to contact another seller. However, I mean, if someone's hijacking your listing and you're not getting sales, I would send the email still, and I did send the email this week anyway, just to show that I wasn't overly pleased with what they were doing. Even though I didn't, after going through this process, I realised I didn't need to actually send that email. It's always good to have a template or email ready to go. And the way I sent it, I found the buyer's details, but I just went onto the listing, clicked on to the seller's name, sorry, not the buyer's name, clicked onto the seller's name, and then used the ask a question section. So that way you're guaranteeing you get through to them, because it's very unlikely, if they're based in China, you're going to find an email address for them. So it's better to do it through Amazon and just say to them, look, cease and desist. And in some, from what I've read on the forums, that can be quite a good method. It can take 24 to 48 hours for people to react to that, especially if your cease and desist letter template is very good. So step 1, send that, try and get it removed, and then step 2, you can report a violation as well, but this time it's done via Seller Central, which I will show you now. So if you're in Amazon Seller Central, if you just search in the help section for report a violation, and then you can find this page, and then you can report the violation. Now, if you just report that the person is selling a different product, it's unlikely Amazon will accept that, because you don't have any proof and you're not the brand owner. So what I've found quite often you have to do is, if they are offering Prime delivery, order it, get it delivered next day, take photos of it to show how it does not match the product listing, upload these as attachments, and show and explain why the product you just bought from that seller, not from you, remember, make sure you specify it's from that specific seller of your product. You don't want the whole listing being banned, you only want that seller removed. And then upload plenty of photos showing that the product does not match the description of the listing, and hopefully Amazon seller support will then remove that seller from your listing. However, if you're brand registered, which I am, thankfully, it takes a few months to get your trademark. It costs about £175, and then you can apply for brand registry, and then you get the additional protection. And it took me just under an hour to get my hijacker removed. So it's definitely worth considering. If I'd have thought about it in the early days, I'd have done trademark a lot earlier than I did, just purely for this brand registry protection and how it works. So the brand registry tutorial. Let me talk you through how brand registry works. This is brand registry. So when you log into brand registry, this is what you'll see. I've got one brand registered, obviously I can't show you what it is, and then you click the report a violation link there, and this will give you some options. So let's just pretend, I don't know, let's just say that we are Hijacked. I know we're the brand owner, and we're saying someone is a hijacker. So we'll take our ACE in here. Don't worry, I'm not going to report these guys or anyone. I'm just going to show you the process. So you paste that ACE into here, and this will bring up a list of all of the sellers that are selling this particular product. So if you click show offers, and you can see all of the people that are now selling this product. So I might be sitting there thinking, you know what, this guy here, China Quality Group, I love that, China with an ER, China Quality Group are a hijacker, and I want to report them. So what I would choose up the top there is a trademark infringement, because I've got a trademark, and then I would choose the product is counterfeit. I'm going to have to hide my brand name there, and I'm going to have to hide this. So you choose your trademark. Have you bought, this is the interesting thing with this, I didn't have to buy the product. Have you bought the item and confirmed that the product or its packaging has your trademark on it? And I said no. And this is, and I'll show you the text that I use later on in the, right at the end of the video. I've got the text there. Put the text in this box, and it should work. You know, I put this on the seller forums after I tried it. Someone else had the same issue, and they come back and they said it worked perfectly for them as well. So in a second, I'm going to show you the exact text I use. So you send that goes through to Amazon, and then they'll come back hopefully a half hour later and say, yes, we've removed that seller. So that's how you use the brand registry. Like I say, it's available to sellers that are registered with a trademark, and that's a link to sign up once you have got that trademark in place. So going back to if you're not brand registered and you want a cease and desist letter, this is the template I use. Now I'm just going to hit the arrow loads time because I've got to put this into one bulk of text. So this, I must admit, this is a combination. I found a few different templates on various websites and emails, and this is kind of a combination of 3 or 4 of them plus my own amendments as well. I'm not going to read it out to you. Just make sure you replace the relevant brand names. What you're just basically saying to the people is, look, we own this brand name. You're violating our trademark on this brand name. We are recommending you remove as a seller from this product, or we will report you to Amazon, and the consequences of Amazon are listed there as well. So that's a cease and desist letter template that you guys can use if someone hijacks your listing and you aren't brand registered. Now, if you are brand registered, this is my story of getting hijacked this week. So as I just showed you on the brand registry, I got through to this very last page, and in this box, this is what I put. And the one thing I've learnt with Amazon, keep it short, keep it sweet, and keep it to the point. No emotion, because remember, you're trying to convince someone. It's a box ticking exercise for them. This is what you're trying to do. So very straightforward. The seller XXX is not authorized to sell our brand name. We have never granted permission to sell our brand name, nor have we sold any inventory for resale. Can you please prevent this from selling our brand registered product? So I thought, okay, this text will work. This will get them to remove the product from the listing. Unfortunately, this is what I got back from Amazon, and I've bolded the relevant section here. Amazon respects a manufacturer's right to enter into a distribution agreement for its products. So what's happened here? Amazon have seen this. I've said that they're not authorized to sell our brand name. So rather than Amazon using the brain, they can't apply logic. Remember, this is a system. This is a box ticking exercise. Rather than realizing this isn't what I'm saying something completely different. Because I've mentioned a keyword that they're obviously looking for, I've got this generic canned response. So because I've said they're not authorized, they've gone down this route of focusing on the fact about distribution agreements, and that they don't get involved in violations of distribution agreements between companies. So okay, so I did a bit more research on the forums, and someone said, no, you need to take a different approach. So this is the approach I then took, and this is the one that worked. So again, very short. It has come to our attention that seller XXX is selling counterfeit items using our trademark protected brand name. So rather than going down that they're not authorized to do it, to sell our products, this time we're saying they're selling counterfeit items because they don't match, they don't have our trademark. So they're counterfeit items. And then I include a link to our trademark so that they can, again, box ticking, straight away they can click there and say, yes, this is a valid trademark, even though they've got all the records, everything's on record anyway. Just make it as easy as possible. Please remove the seller. And then after about 10 minutes, I got that thank you. We reviewed it and we reviewed your report and removed the following content. So thankfully that worked, and that is the text you want to use if you're brand registered and want to get Hijacker removed. I used it successfully, and someone else I gave the text to used it successfully as well. So that's been my experience of hijackers. Hope you like this video. If you do, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more honest, open content like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel as well.